Hello, I hope you are doing well. I hope you are watching this video so you can see me reflect on my journey to become debt-free, or you're looking maybe potentially for some tips and tricks that will help you along your journey as well. I am welcoming anybody who is new in. I hope you join me on this journey and you subscribe. I am attempting to get to 500 subscribers by the end of 2026. It would be nice if I could get there faster, as I want to do a fantastic giveaway with some amazing budgeting items to help somebody either start their journey or continue on their journey. And if you are returning, I hope you enjoy this video. I am reflecting on my journey to becoming debt-free. I became debt-free, consumer debt-free, I should start by saying. I am not mortgage debt-free yet, but I am consumer debt-free as of the end of April of this year. And so I'm going into 2026 with no debt except for my mortgage. This is a huge thing to me because I have been in and out of debt, mostly in some sort of debt, my entire adult life. And I am way closer to 40 than I am to 30. So I am super happy that I am going to, hopefully, we're going to knock on wood, I will be going into my 40s in a few years with only a mortgage debt. And that is just amazing, I have to say. I don't think I ever really cared too much about debt. I'll just kind of go a little bit backwards, as I've never really spoke about it, but I don't think I ever really cared about debt too much because I've pretty much always had a job my entire adult life. There have been brief periods where I was unemployed in sort of my mid-20s. I was still fortunate. I was still living at home, so my expenses were very low. I lost that job. I was actually on probation, as you typically are when you start with a company, and they fired me after a month. So I did qualify for a bit of EI. I live in Canada, by the way, and so I did qualify for some unemployment insurance. And obviously, living at home, I really didn't have very many expenses, and I wasn't unemployed, I don't think, for very long after that, when I started working for a temp agency, and I got a job that was promised for 3 months. I was obviously willing to take it, and it actually turned into longer, and then a position became available in the organization that I work in. I applied and I got the job. So it led me down this whole path that I've been working over the past almost 15 years. Actually, it's been more than 15 years now. And so, yes, so I've just kind of always had some debt, credit card debt. I am a spender by nature, and I've been a spender by nature since I was like a young preteen teen when I started babysitting when I could, and I was making pretty good money for that time, and I was always spending the money. So I am definitely a spender by nature. And it's not that I didn't know about debt. My parents are incredibly financially responsible, so I grew up knowing that. I think it was just my personality, and obviously always having a job makes it, I think, a bit easier to spend, if that makes sense. So when I finally decided to start getting very serious about paying my debt off, it hit me when there was layoffs within my organization, and we were talking like tens of thousands of people that lost their jobs, which is incredibly upsetting because they were also some of our lowest paid workers, and what they did was invaluable. They were mostly in our sort of environmental services, so cleaning, housekeeping, laundry, etc. So that was almost a wake-up call to me that, okay, if God forbid I did lose my job, I will have this debt hanging over me and I will still have to pay for it. So my debt eventually was pretty much all credit card debt. I did have a line of credit debt that I used to purchase a vehicle way back when on, and then I consolidated all of that onto a line of credit. So it was really only one debt I was paying, but it was a huge, huge amount. When I first started, it was almost $50,000, which is, I had nothing to show for it. I will be honest. I took a few trips over the I haven't been very many places over my adult life, but they were all paid for and none of it went on to credit. But I was purchasing anything that I wanted, anything and everything. I have been a makeup lover since I was like 13 years old. So I was spending money on makeup that I really didn't need and just wanted, and I was influenced, and I take responsibility for that. I'm a huge skincare lover. I've been using a skincare routine day and night since I was 18 years old. And again, just going crazy, just buying products, just wanting it. I think I was trying to fill a hole within myself, and I don't think that hole is completely filled. I've just learned better coping mechanisms. So that is a little backstory. So when I finally started getting serious about my debt, I didn't get super serious, but I did make it more of a priority, if that makes sense. So I am going to go over the 5 things that I wish I could change about my debt payoff journey. And I hope that if you are here, that maybe if you're paying off debt, that maybe either you can relate to this or you're like, oh, I never even thought about that. So I am going to bring you in just a little bit and we are going to get into it. So my first regret from my debt payoff journey, and I just had to write these out because I just had to get it out. So the first thing is that I getting serious about paying it off sooner. So like I say, I had the debt for quite a while, and I just was like, oh, I'll just pay the interest, because on a line of credit, you don't have to actually make payments. You can just pay the interest. And that's kind of what I did. I would throw a little bit here, a little bit there, but I was still spending way too much just on stuff, just on stuff. So I really had to admit to myself why the debt got so bad, and it is because I just was spending frivolously. I wanted something, I bought it. I didn't think about the future. I didn't think about emergency funds, that sort of thing. And then I had to make real changes to get it gone rather sooner than later. But I wish I would have done that way faster than I actually came to that conclusion. So I don't think debt is a moral thing. I think that it, for me now, scares me because I have let it has gotten out of control over the years, and I don't want that to happen again. I want to have money to pay for things in the future. I want to have an emergency fund should things go wrong. And the way the world is right now, I think having less debt payments, less just expenses in general, just will help me feel calm, will help me not worry so much. I am a single income household. During this journey, I did not get a second job, and I will tell you why. Because I have been dealing with health issues since 2018, 2017. I had to track symptoms for quite a long time. I did not get a diagnosis for about a year and a half, and when I got the diagnosis, it was in early 2020, and then you know what happened with the world, and I didn't really get much direction as to what to do and how to deal with it. And when I finally was able to see a doctor who could help me, it took a while. It took a very long time to even be referred to a surgeon to be looked at. And then the surgeon also had to send me for some other tests. So with my syndrome, with my health, it was it the easiest way to explain it is that I just was exhausted by the end of the day. So I work full time. I work mostly on computers, and I was just, my arms were exhausted from the work. And I have an ergonomic setup and things like that. I think just with my condition, it's not unusual, and it's incredibly common that that happens. So to try and get a part-time job when I might not really have literally the energy to do it, I just didn't do it. So I was working with my single income. Now, I would not say I'm low income by any means, but I'm not an incredibly high earner either. I'm just thankful that my expenses are fairly low, so I was able to put money towards my debt. Now, over this time period, I eventually did get a few little like 1% raises, like through our union. When you're unionized, you don't have a choice. You don't get to go to the employer and say, hey, I want to make more money. That's not something you can do. And I was very fortunate that my boss and my boss's boss, I think it was last year, I can't remember the exact timeline, but they were able to get me reclassified, so I do make more money. So along the way, I did earn more money, but I have capped out. And that's what happens when you work in a unionized environment for a long period of time. Eventually you quit making more money unless collective agreements are reached and pay is increased via that. So I just had to make do with what I had, basically. So I just regret, my biggest regret is just not starting sooner and being really serious about paying my debt off. Number two is that I wish I would have put more money towards my debt when the interest rates were lower. I had all my debt on a line of credit, and if you know about lines of credit, they are tied to prime rate, and prime rate was quite low for quite a long time, and then it obviously started to increase. Bank of Canada increased rates, so as the interest rates went up, obviously the interest owed on any debt is going to increase. So I had to budget more because I still had to pay interest every single month on this. So I had to budget more for my interest as I was going along, but I also still had to try and budget to pay money towards the debt, if that made sense. So I just wish I would have gotten serious about it sooner so that I would have paid more in the beginning when interest rates were lower. And I've never calculated how much interest I had to pay on this, but it would be in the thousands, and it would probably make me sick. So I don't know if I really want to do that. So number three is I wish I would have pushed myself for bigger payoff goals earlier in the beginning. I think it would have just helped me with momentum and staying on track, as kind of the last probably about 2 years of paying off my debt, I was trying to hit goals. I was trying to put as much as I could towards it and just really hit milestones, like whether it be in a few months or by the end of the year. I always had kind of a year-end goal that I wanted to get to. When I finally got serious, I would always exceed that goal. So I just wish in the beginning that I would have had those goals for myself. I think it just would have helped me pay off everything way faster and way sooner. But hey, hindsight's 2020, right? So next up is I wish I would have actually just celebrated debt payoff milestones. I think it would have helped me during those times when I just felt like I wasn't making a ton of progress. Like sometimes you feel like, oh, if I put $20 or $10, and remember, like same thing with credit cards, but you accrue interest basically daily when you have a line of credit as well as with credit cards. So it does actually help, but it just doesn't necessarily feel like it's helping. But I didn't do any celebrating of debt payoff milestones. Like I didn't allow myself to go do something or, purchase even something small. So I wish I would have done that, because I think it just would have kept me motivated and kept me going. So that is one huge regret. So if you are paying off debt, give yourself milestones, whether it's, oh, I paid off, this credit card, or I, chopped it down by $500 or whatever. And maybe it's like something super simple. Maybe it's picking up a bottle of your favorite soda on your next shopping trip. Maybe it's a little going out and having a meal. Maybe it's not an expensive meal. Maybe it's treating yourself to a super fancy coffee. Just something that helps you keep motivated. I wish I would have done. So number 5, this is obviously to me, it was the biggest thing. I wish I would have started budgeting, cash stuffing, and using sinking funds earlier. So I've been doing cash stuffing, budgeting long before I ever started my YouTube. But I wish I would have started earlier, because I think it just would have made a huge difference just to my mindset and just to keep me motivated. And because you see, when you cash stuff and you plan for things and you budget for things as things grow, but also if you have to use that money, you've had that money allocated, if that makes sense. So it has allowed me not to add any debt whatsoever as I was going through my journey by using sinking funds, but also just budgeting in general. It just helped me stay on the course of just only paying off the original debt. I did not have to add any debt at all. So I think that's like the biggest thing. I just wish I would have started it sooner. I mean, hey, wherever you start is honestly fantastic. This is something I'm going to need to do for the rest of my life, because like I say, I am a spender. There have been moments when I was paying off my debt that I really just wanted to buy a lot of stuff. I wish I could have gone on a trip. I wish I could have gone and done things, but hey, it is what it is. And I am super proud that I even paid off the debt to begin with, because 10 years ago, I just would have let it kept going and going and going. Just whatever, debt is debt. Who cares, right? So there is always potential. I do not want to get back into consumer debt, but if I needed to, the only debt I would ever want to get back into is to pay for a vehicle. And even then, I would be incredibly scared, I guess would be the right word, to do that. So my goal is to purchase a vehicle, and if I have to pay for it, I'm going to pay for as little as possible, if that makes sense. I want to save up as much as possible to put towards it. Now, is it realistic that you can get, like, I think my next vehicle will need to cost like at least $10,000. And it has to be a reliable vehicle, obviously. Where I live, there is some public transit, but it's not the greatest. So kind of a vehicle is sort of needed. I currently live in an area of my city where it's not extremely walkable to things. So that it is what it is. So yeah, that would be the only debt I would want to take on again, is and have it be for an incredibly short period of time, and I would try and pay it off as soon as I could. Obviously, I still have my mortgage, and I'm more than willing to take on a different mortgage, because I will be trying to purchase a different place either next year or the year after, but that is really all that I am hoping to do. So yes, those are my 5 things that I wish I could change about my debt payoff journey. If you have already paid off your debt, or even if you've made progress on your debt, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I would love to know maybe something that you wish you could change. Maybe it's one of these things. Maybe it's something incredibly different. I would just absolutely love to hear from you. If you made it to this point, because I have a bunch of butterflies around. I love butterflies. Please leave me a butterfly emoji. And if you are not subscribed, I hope that you will join me on this journey. I will be always cash stuffing. I will be doing some savings challenges. I will be adding up my sinking funds. So you are more than welcome. There's no judgment from me. I hope that you will join me, and I will actually be making another video here soon about things that I would absolutely not change about my debt payoff journey. So I hope that you'll come back for that. And yes, I will catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.